Hello there. I'm Sin. We are in the Book Nook, and today we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books, what I've finished, what I'm in the middle of, and what we're going to get into. Okay, so recently I finished a crazy 80s horror about a video game called Polybius. It is based on an urban legend that there was this game in the early 80s that was kind of like a government psyop thing. So the legend describes the game as part of like a government-run crowdsourced psychology experiment, and it was based in Portland, Oregon. And gameplay supposedly produced like these intense psychoactive and addictive effects in the player. There was a few like publicly staged arcade games, and they were said to be visited periodically by like the Men in Black, and the purpose was to like data mine the machines and analyze the effects that they were having on these people. And then supposedly all the Polybius arcade machines just like disappeared from the market, ever to be seen and heard from again. But the urban legend has persisted in like video game journalism and through the continued interest of the people. So I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't even know that or about this urban legend until like after I had finished reading it. I had made a YouTube short about it, and people in the comments had said something about the legend of Polybius, and I was like, what is that? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh man, crazy. I'd never heard of that. But it's a pretty great book if you like video games and 80s horror. It's weird, it's gory, it is just everything you could want in an 80s horror about video games. It was pretty dang good. So currently, what I'm in the middle of is a book called The Last Session by Julia Bartz. I picked this one up because I had liked her other book, The Writing Retreat. That was a thriller. That one was pretty wild. This one is, it follows this character, Thea, and she works in a psychiatric ward. She's not a doctor, but she's a social worker, and she does like art therapy. She works with all these different patients, and one day they have this like Jane Doe that shows up, and she's mute and she won't talk. People have to basically do everything for her, and Thea meets her, tries to talk to her, and she's like, God, why does this woman look so familiar to me? I don't understand. Eventually, she figures out that this lady is an actress that was in a movie that she loved when she was like a teenager. And she's like, holy crap. Eventually, the woman kind of like comes to and snaps out of it. Some weird stuff happens. And when she's due to be released, her parents are supposed to come get her. Some stuff happens where parents came to get her, but the parents that showed up weren't her actual parents. So she was released to two people that we don't know who they were, and she seemed to know them, but like her parents showed up afterwards and they were like, what the F, where's our daughter? She had been talking to Thea, and when she had come to, she talked to her a little bit, and then she kind of she left her a message. She wrote a message and she had put it in like her, I think it was in the crayon box or something, and she finds the message and it was like, sorry we didn't get to talk more or something. And it was like, thanks for letting me use your phone to listen to those podcasts. And she's like, what? I didn't let you use my phone. That was the other lady that we work with. But she's like, I wonder why she told me that. And then the whole thing with like her being taken by people who weren't actually her parents, she's like, is this like some weird message she's trying to get to me? So she listens to the podcast, and in the podcast, they actually talk about this woman named Catherine, and Catherine is the name of the actress. And she's like, oh my God, is this like some weird cult? Because the whole podcast is about like relationships and healing and doing this kind of weird therapy and stuff. And they do a retreat that costs a lot of money to go to out in New Mexico. And she's like, did these weird cult people just come back and kidnap her? Like, and apparently the actress had disappeared 4 years prior. And when they had found her this time, she was like wandering around by the expressway. So no one really knows what happened. She doesn't really remember or claims she didn't remember. And so Thea, when she was younger, was kind of like obsessed with this movie that the actress was in. And she's like, okay, I think that she literally just gave me a message to save her. So, because she listened to the podcast, and so she's making all these assumptions, which maybe she's right to do. I don't know. I'm only in the middle of this book. And so she's going to go to this retreat, which is like a sexual therapy healing retreat, like dealing with like the demons in your past and why you can't hold down a relationship, this, that, and the other. So she's going there to snoop around and see if she can find and save Catherine, but she's also going to have to do all this therapy stuff too to act out like that she's there for the retreat. And It's so freaking weird and wild already. Like, I was pulled in from the first page or two. I really like how this writer writes. Gonna be reading more of that later tonight. Can't wait to see what the F happens because it's so freaking weird. Okay, so let's tell you what I'm gonna get into. So if you've been around the channel, you know that I like books about cats. And so I got another cat book. Imagine it. That is The Blanket Cats by Kayoshi Shigematsu. And let's tell you about it. There are cats in it. The end. No. Are 3 days with a cat long enough to change a life? Maybe. A peculiar pet shop in Tokyo has been known to offer customers the unique opportunity to take home one of 7 special cats whose magic is never promised but always received. But there are rules. These cats must be returned after 3 days, they must eat only the food supplied by the owner, and they must travel to their new homes with a distinctive blanket. In The Blanket Cats, we meet 7 customers, each of whom is hoping a temporary feline companion will help them escape a certain reality, including a couple struggling with infertility, a middle-aged woman on the run from the police, and 2 families in very different circumstances simply seeking joy. But like all their kind, the Blanket Cats are mysterious creatures with unknowable agendas who delight in confounding expectations. And perhaps what their hosts are looking for isn't really what they need. 3 days may not be enough to change a life, but it might just change how you see it. And I thought that sounded really cute and adorable. And yeah, looking forward to that one. The Blanket Cats. Okay, this next one I picked up because I loved the first book of theirs I read, which was How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. So I got to the next one, which is in the same mystery series. It's How to Seal Your Own Fate by Kristen Perrin. It's a Castle Knoll mystery. How to Solve Your Own Murder was like one of the best mysteries I had read in a long time, so kind of excited to read this one. Yeah, if you read that one, well, this is the next one, so you should get it. Present day, Annie Adams is just settling into life in Castle Knoll when local fortune teller Peony Lane shares a cryptic message only hours before being found dead inside the locked Gravesdown estate. Annie has no choice but to delve into the dark secrets of her new countryside home in order to find out just what Peony Lane was trying to warn her about before her brand new life comes crashing down around her. 1967. Teenage Frances Adams, Annie's great-aunt, finds herself caught between 2 men. Ford Gravesdown is one of the only remaining members of a family known for its wealth and dubious uses of power. Archie Foyle is a local who can't hold down a job and lives above the village pub. But when Frances teams up with Archie to investigate the car crash that killed most of Ford's family, it quickly becomes clear that this was no accident. Hints of cover-ups, lies, betrayals abound. The question is, just how far down does the blackness creep through the heart of Castle Knoll? My guess is pretty freaking deep. This place has a lot of issues. When Frances discovers secrets kept by both Ford and Archie, she starts to wonder, what exactly has she gotten herself into? As Annie and Frances investigate 2 new mysteries spanning decades, they'll unlock the next level of secrets held in Castle Knoll's dark heart. I do love me a good mystery from time to time. I don't read a ton of them, but as I said, really loved the other book, How to Solve Your Own Murder, which I do have a standalone review for. And if you do want to check that out, I'll have that in the description down below. I'll put a link to it. This next one I got because this author is a must-read author for me, and that is Nat Cassidy, When the Wolf Comes Home, Bark at the Moon. Oh, why do you do the things you do, Sin? I don't know. Sometimes you're gonna bark at the moon. Anyways, let's tell you what this is about. Werewolves. Most likely. One night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying incidents of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but it's always a big but, isn't there? She's about to learn that there's more to these surreal and grisly events than she could have ever imagined. And that when the wolf finally comes home, no one will be spared. All right. When the wolf comes home. Super stoked to read this. Okay, so what am I most excited about? Honestly, When the Wolf Comes Home, but I am really pretty stoked to get back into the book The Last Session by Julia Bartz. I am really enjoying that book. Like I stayed up last night reading it and I only put it down because like my eyes were going crossed and I just literally couldn't stay awake anymore. I had to go to bed. Otherwise, like I would have stayed up. Do you guys have a favorite book about werewolves? I'm always looking for more werewolf books because I don't feel like I read enough of those. Like, I read a lot of vampire books. I don't really think I need any more suggestions for those. But werewolf books, I feel like I am lacking. Like, I read Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. That might have been the most recent werewolf one. And I really like that one. I love Rachel Harrison. She's awesome. So I also love Nat Cassidy. So super excited to read this one. I have not read the Stephen King werewolf book. Someone I think mentioned that one to me before. But yeah, let me know if you have any good werewolf book recommendations. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.